You have done all these things and you thought, and you even convinced yourself that whatever you were doing, we were in agreement. But I will expose you one day and I will show people that we were never in agreement. You were just deceiving people into thinking that whatever you practice, it is what I agree. That is not my words, but they come from God. And I'll show you where those words are coming from. Gogo Sikhotheni decided to do what we call it a night prayer with God. So it's technically the combination of two, the combination of the practicing of Busangoma mixed with God. The problem is the God that is mixed with, it's the God with capital letter G. But unfortunately, the God with capital letter G has a direct conflict with the practice Gogo Sikhotheni that is practicing. That is what we are about to uncover today. I understand also the disagreement to say, yeah, but the Bible was written by colonizers when they came to Africa. They colonized us and they had the Bible. I agree. But I have some questions that you need to answer. You need to answer concerning the fact that the Bible came with the colonizers. It's so funny that it's okay for Gogo Sikhotheni to use the Bible, but when we ask questions, then it's switched off and say no. But the Bible came with colonizers. So as long as Gogo Sikhotheni carries the Bible to promote her agenda, it's okay. But we not supposed to disagree with Gogo Sikhotheni on the very same Bible that she's carrying. Because if we do so, then we get reminded about how the Bible has been instrumental in colonizing black people. How hypocritical are you guys? Yo, so hypocritical. It's okay for people to get married using the Bible, but as soon as you ask people to do away with certain things that they practice, no, we must practice it because we are Africans. Why? Because the Bible came with colonizers. What a hypocritical approach that we are choosing to take these days. But that's exactly what you need to unpack, provided that you're interested. If you are interested, then I'm asking you to do me one favor. You know what that favor is? That favor is that you stick around. As you stick around, there's only one thing that I'm asking from you, and that thing is that you subscribe, you like the video, and you comment in the comment section below. You know why you need to do that? Because doing that, guys, it does help out a lot when it comes to the YouTube algorithm to promote and spread this video to as many people as possible. So the power here is in your hands. That's all I'm asking. I'm asking that you decide to press the like button, comment, and you do all those necessary things. It does help out a lot when it comes to the YouTube algorithm. Now, here's fun fact. So much interesting, right? So I'm going to have to start with this one. Rush with me to the book of Exodus chapter 20. We're going to be reading two verses. One, it's verse 3. Second one, it is verse 5. Rush with me to the book of Exodus. Or maybe before we start with the book of Exodus, do you remember that in my opening intro, I said that the God that is being served with inverted commas by Gogo Sikhotheni is the God of the Bible, right? She's even carrying the Bible in the event. So she's saying the God of the Bible, she is in line with her practice. And I said, no, Gogo Sikhotheni, stop deceiving us. That's a broad daylight robbery there. We don't like that robbery, right? But again, that same God, he once wrote and said the following. Go with me to the book of Psalms chapter 50, verse 15. Psalms chapter 50, verse 15, and verse 21, not verse 15. Psalms chapter 50, verse 21. This is what it says. It says, "These things thou hast done, and I kept silence, and thou thought I was altogether as such as one as thyself, but I will reprove thee. I will set them in order before thine eyes." So, meaning to say, you have done all these things and you even convince other people to think that you and I, we were together in the deeds. And God says, no, do not mix me with that. Now, here's my problem. That's hypocritical, right? The hypocrisy comes here. If we call Gogo Sikhotheni if we call Gogo Sikhotheni into order and say, Gogo Sikhotheni, stop fooling us. Because the Bible that you are carrying in the event, where you are even showing us that it's the Holy Bible, that same Bible is in disagreement with your practice. So you cannot convince us that the God of this Bible is somehow in agreement with your practice being Isango. No, that we have a problem. So I decided to say, oh, well, wait a minute. So Gogo Sikhotheni is having the Bible in the event. So she's probably quoting verses in the same Bible. So I decided to say, let me dive into let me open this book. And I decided to open this book. And I found that it is in disagreement with the practice of Gogo Sikhotheni being Isangoma. Let me show you one verse. Go with me to the book of Exodus chapter 20, and we are reading verse 3 and 5. Right. Verse 3 wakona, guys. So verse 3 wakona uti, or the verse 3 there says, thou shalt have no other gods before me. That's verse 3. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. Verse 5 wakona, thou shalt not bow down thyself to them, nor serve them, for I am the Lord thy God, and I am a jealous God, visiting the iniquity of fathers upon children, and unto the third and the fourth generation, and unto them that hate me. That is a message to Gogo Sikhotheni. Gogo Sikhotheni, God is specific. The God of the Bible that you are carrying there is pretty much specific on the matter that, no, I am not in agreement with Gogo Sikhotheni. Now, obviously here you are saying, Bongan, but there's no proof here that says God said he is in disagreement with Gogo Sikhotheni. There's no proof here. But before I give you proof, because the proof is there, in the Bible that Gogo Sikhotheni was carrying, it rebuked Gogo Sikhotheni, that same Bible. Let me show you something. I have no problem with people practicing democracy. Democracy allows you to do what you want to do at the time when you want to do it. Even if what you want to do is against the will of God. But if you are saying, Mongan, I am governed by democracy, I can't argue, I can't force you then. I don't have the biblical right to force you to do what I believe in. I don't have such a right, even biblically, so I don't have such a right, right? So if Gogo Sikhotheni practices ubungoma under the Constitution of South Africa, she's free. She can practice to the extent, no matter, she can decide to live in the air, she can decide to live in the sea. It's acceptable in the Constitution as long as she's not violating the Constitution. But please don't deceive me into thinking that your practice is in line with this thing. That's where our problem, Gogo Sikhotheni, starts. Now, there's another one called theocracy. Look, theocracy is what God, when God speaks and the people who are his subjects obey. If God says being Isangoma is wrong, then his subjects obeyed it. As much or as far as I know, God does not agree with Christians accepting the practice of Isangoma being a gift from God. God is clear on the matter. It is not allowed. Right? Read with me. Go to the book of Luke chapter 16. We're only going to be reading one verse. It is verse 6. It is verse 13. Luke chapter 16, good people. We're going to be reading verse 16 right there. So I am okay. There am I. Verse 13. In fact, Luke chapter 16, verse 13. It says, "No servant can serve two masters, for he will either hate the one and love the other, or else he will hold to the one and despise the other." Now, this is God's being specific. Ye cannot serve God and mammon. What is mammon? Before I answer the question, what is mammon? Now, listen carefully, guys. Listen carefully. Understand me very well in this point. There's a chapter in the book, or there's a book in the chapter and the verse in the Bible. And the name of the book is called Amos. The chapter is 3, the verse is 3. It says, "Can two walk together except they agree?" Right. Can God and Gogo Sikhotheni walk together except Gogo Sikhotheni or God agree with what Gogo Sikhotheni is doing? God certainly says no. We're going to be opening just the last verse. I have so many verses to prove that Gogo Sikhotheni's practice is not accepted in the Bible. At first, remember there's a video I did where I was speaking about the danger of consulting isangoma according to God. It makes God angry to a point that God instructed people to kill such people who are practicing that. The other time I showed you the book of 1 Samuel chapter 28, where Saul, the king of Israel, went to consult to isangoma. Then because God was not answering him. Then I pushed you further to the book of Chronicles. I think it's 2nd or 1st Chronicles chapter 10, where it spoke about the fact that one of the reasons God had to kill Saul was the fact that he consulted isangoma. Now we have Gogo Sikhotheni telling us that God has agreed that being isangoma and God is one and the same thing. No, even today I still say no. That's Gogo Sikhotheni deceiving us broad daylight. And people that do things like that, they are shortening their lives. You find that as long as as long as they are not tampering with things like this, they tend to live longer, because God will be like, they are practicing their democratical right. But as soon as you start mixing God and deceiving people into thinking that you are with God, and then you are provoking God into anger, and you will not like the outcome of that, stop it. Practice your democratical right by being isangoma, but don't mix it with Christianity. There's no mix there, guys. There's no mix there, right? And I will show you a story. Let me just tell you the story. There's a king in the Bible called Nebuchadnezzar. The successor of Nebuchadnezzar, he used the things that were the holy things, holy what that were assigned to God. And because of that, God was like, it was okay for you to drink alcohol, to do all these misbehaving things, which I disagree with. But as soon as you now taking things that are consecrated to me, you are now mixing with your things, and then God killed that man. He was killed in 539 BC for that, if my memory serves well. It's called King Belshazzar, if I'm not mistaken. The problem here is when you try to be smart enough that you think you're gonna mix Christianity with ubungoma, thinking that it's gonna be the same thing, guys, you are just provoking God to anger. Stop it. Practice whatever you want to practice. Me, I'm of the idea that people who are governed by democracy, they should be allowed to practice whatever they want to practice. People who are governed by theocracy, they should be allowed to practice their theocratical principles. And people who are practicing democracy, they should also, autocracy, they should also be allowed to practice their thing, but don't mix the three. Don't try to be smart enough that you want to mix the three. Let's read the last verse. Go with me to the book of Deuteronomy chapter 18. This is the verse that most of the Shembe people, they like reading this verse. I don't know who told them. When they want to justify that Shembe is from God, they like reading this verse. Deuteronomy chapter 18, I'm going to read from verse 15. In verse 15, that's where you find the rebuke to Gogo Sikhotheni. The Lord thy God will rise, in fact, from verse 15 to 18, sorry. It says, the Lord thy God will rise up unto thee a prophet from midst of thee, of thy people, and thy brethren, like unto thee, and like unto me. Unto him he shall hearken. So it means that I'm going to raise a prophet that looks like me. This is Moses writing this. So he's writing before he was sent to God. He's saying, there will be a prophet that looks like me, talks like me, is a human being, in essence. That prophet, you shall listen to him. So Shembe people, when they want to justify that Shembe is from God, they use this verse most of the time, but they don't proceed, because if they proceed, that's when then you find that the Bible is disagreeing with them. Because if they proceed to verse 16 down to 18, it says, according to all thy desirest of the Lord thy God in Horeb in the day of an assembly, saying, let me not hear again the voice of the Lord thy God, neither let me see his great fire anymore. And the Lord said unto me, They have all well spoken, that which they have spoken. I will rise unto them a prophet from among their brethren, like unto them, and I will put my words within his mouth. Okay. Yeah, so I will put his mouth upon. I think there's a verse. Oh, sorry guys. My apologies. The verse that I was looking for, this one that we have read is just describing a prophet that's gonna be like people. But the one that I wanted us to read, it's actually found in previous verses. I'm sorry, my apologies. So let's go to verse 10. We are still in Deuteronomy chapter 18. Now we're going to be reading from let's start from verse 9. When thou art come to the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee, thou shalt not learn to do after the abominations of those nations. This is so important again. Now, remember that Gogo Sikhotheni, the argument is that what Gogo Sikhotheni does is in line with God. But now, listen, this is very important. This is now sets people that the Bible was written to. Because this Bible was written to people who have agreed that they are in agreement with whatever God says to them. So then God writes this book, which we call it the Bible. This Bible was then an instruction in how they should live their life. You understand? Remember, God now says in this book, do not practice what the nations around you will be practicing. Now it makes sense when I say, I understand when people are exercising their democratical right. Now, Israel was not governed through democracy, but Israel was governed through theocracy. And in theocracy, the instruction was, listen to verse 10. There shall not be found among you any of them that maketh his son or his daughter pass through the fire, or that useth divination, or an observer of times, or a chanter, or a witch. What is divination? What is chanter? Read this verse in your home language. It's gonna shock you. It's gonna shock you, people, things that God does not agree with here. Verse 11. Or a charmer, or a consulter with them that have familiar spirit, or a wizard, or a necromancer. For all that do these things are an abomination unto me, the Lord. Because of these things, the Lord thy God doeth drive them out of the land before thee. Okay, so now you get the point. Now listen. Now, guys, according to the Bible, which we have seen being carried by Gogo Sikhotheni, in the same Bible that is being carried by Gogo Sikhotheni, it is written, do not consult sangomas, do not be found consulting people abanamadlozi, or then names the other things. But the two things that I want to mention here, sangomas are mentioned in particular. God is strict on the matter. Two, it is the issue of amadlozi. God is strict on the matter. Do not consult people or ask any advice concerning God from people who believes in amadlozi. Read that Deuteronomy chapter 18 from verse 9 to 11 in your own vernacular. That's when you will understand what I'm saying. Read it in your home language. So Gogo Sikhotheni cannot carry this Bible here that says do not be sangoma, and Gogo Sikhotheni carries it and tells us that God approves it. What type of deception is that? I have so many verses that proves the issue of sangoma in the Bible. If you want that, I can design one video where I will prove from Genesis to Revelation that God disagrees with being a sangoma, right? And I know what comes to your mind is that, yeah, but the Bible came with white people. It is white people that colonized us, and then they gave us the Bible. And so the Bible is not a good thing for Africans. Well, I'm like, wait. I get your anger, my brother. I get your anger, my sister. I get your anger, my mother, my father. No problem. Stop being a hypocrite. If you are getting married, don't use the Bible in your wedding. You can't use verses that you like in the same Bible, but when the same Bible tells you to stop practicing certain things, then this Bible now is wrong, shouldn't be used against anything. Why, when somebody dies, you go and call a pastor to use this Bible to bury your loved ones? But when this Bible tells you to stop practicing certain things, no, this thing came with white people. Why are you using it from the word go? Because it came with white people. Why are you even using it? That's my problem. I will understand a person that does not use this thing at all. Whether there is wedding, whether there is death, whether you are being sown, if you are in parliament and you use this to be sown in, we must hold you accountable using this, because this is what you use to be sown in. Why now, when we tell you about what is written here, now you're telling us about the constitution of the country? Why didn't you take the constitution of the country and use it to be sown? Guys, let's stop being hypocritical. We should just say we love the Bible when it tells us what we want to hear, but we hate the Bible when the Bible tells us what we don't want to hear. That's technically what we are seeing here. Gogo Sikhotheni fooling us around into thinking that their practice is in line with this. No, Gogo Sikhotheni, I'm saying now, read what is inside the Bible that you are carrying. It's not in line with this thing. And that's my biggest problem with the likes of Gogo Sikhotheni. So you have gone too far. You have gone too far. That's a pure deception. That's a pure lie. But am I angry to Gogo Sikhotheni? No, I'm not angry. What I'm saying, guys, is simple. Do what you want to do according to the constitution. You can practice to the fullest. Whether you want to sleep in the air, you want to tell people to... It's not a big deal. Don't mix it with Christianity or theocracy, because the two, it's water and oil. That's my problem. You know what I'm saying? And in summary, to those that says this is against African culture, there was a way of worshiping God before, I'm saying don't use it in any of your and in anything in your life. Don't use this. That's my problem with you. Don't use it at all. No matter what, don't use it. Then you are being fair to yourself. Otherwise, you can't use this in your wedding. You can't use this when you're getting married. You can't use this when there's somebody who's dying. You can't use this when we need to come and comfort you. We read verses that comfort you and you accept them. No, you should tell us, don't read this in my home. This came with colonizers. I don't want this. We've got our own God. Say those things. Don't be hypocritical here. No, God, no, guys. I'm against the hypocrisy here. Right? Let's engage purely on the basis of principle and logic. I'll see you in the next video. But until then, please take care.